Speaking of stiff things that have been forgotten, I imagine you've watched the canceled live-action Powerpuff adaptation.
Yeah, they were right to cancel that. Throw that in the garbage, man.
Yeah, looks pretty bad. Looks pretty cringe. Not great. Just as bad as that script leak said it would be. One thing that I haven't seen anyone bring up, because it's like, yeah, it's rough, and poor Donald Faison Turk is, you're meant for better things. It's unfortunate.
I mean, he signed the paper.
He did. He did.
Nobody held a gun to his head.
And I don't know how work is going otherwise. So But something that I see not being mentioned there is this is one of those cases where I think 99 times out of 100, a live-action Powerpuff Girls adaptation is just a terrible idea.
I would say, yeah, that's accurate.
I say that's the case. A lot of the time, you're imagining various versions, anything from a Dragon Ball Evolution, like, what the fuck is that, to we tried to make it accurate, but it just got weirder the more on point it was, because it was never meant to be like this. You get to that Jump Force, style attempt. But this in particular, like Riverdale has taken off as a big WB Archie show and whatnot. And some of that I think works because Archie is much older and less connected to the current generation than I would say Powerpuff is. But even then, Powerpuff is still like pretty old by standards, just not anywhere near as old as Archie.
Yeah.
The fact that it says written by Diablo Cody is something that I think not a lot of people necessarily registered what that is. But I
don't know who that is, so it didn't register with me.
And for me, I'm like, this explains the whole thing, because Diablo Cody is scriptwriter of Juno, which is that sort of edge, that hamburger phone teenager edgy goth girl, not goth girl, edgy mall girl attitude. And
that was like 20 years ago though.
Yeah, and here's the thing, I love Juno, right? I'm a fan of Juno. I enjoyed that movie, but the person who wrote that, when they're taking on a script, it's because somebody is giving them the IP to turn it into their version of things, right? It's like handing Gendy the keys to your thing.
What happened with that Velma show.
Mindy Kaling?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So
she was given the Scooby-Doo license and she just turned it into her own weird thing.
So some people are like gonna grab the thing and adapt it into, whatever. Based on them trying to be like, hey, let's keep it faithful or whatever. So Robert Rodriguez gets the keys to Sin City and says, I want to make this a frame for frame, panel by panel shot of the book, but just with people. Okay, cool. Right?
Can I get the right people? Yes.
Yeah.
All right, good.
But here, you don't get a name like Diablo Cody attached unless you're doing what Diablo Cody does and getting her version of any IP, So it never stood a chance because there was never going to be that 1 out of 100 potential possibility. And knowing what the name means when it's attached to a script, it explains exactly why that trailer plays out the way it does.
I'm gonna have I don't know. You ever you start building a take in your head and you're like, you can't figure out if it's a hot take or a cold take. Like you just, like I have no idea where it is.
You have a take.
Stop adapting things. Just period.
Cook.
Just stop.
Yeah, cook.
The failure rate is out of control.
Okay. No.
It's like 99 times out of 100. It's a disaster.
I'm following you because my version of this was a long time ago. We had a thing on the podcast when we were talking about but who should adapt Vagabond and how best would it work as an animated?
No one.
And maybe there could be video games need to become movies because there's a hierarchy of important mediums, and these ones are down here, but these ones are the big ones, and your medium doesn't matter until you're on the big screen and everyone can see it, right? It doesn't matter if you're a book or a manga or a movie or a comic or a fucking stage play. It doesn't matter because it has to become a movie that Hollywood sees for it to matter, right? right? The messages have to no, absolutely not. Things can just be what they are. 100%. I am super, I get it. Right? It can work sometimes. It often doesn't, but I think that, like, in many cases, like, even when it does work out, even when you get the weird cases, you get your One Piece, which, you know, I enjoyed that live action.
Wow, slam dunk on that.
Right? But I feel like the fact that there's a hierarchy of adaptation in media means that there's a weird, like, disrespect for source material that often happens that sucks. And
I mean, it's really clear why One Piece is good is because Oda had the kill switch on it and he could kibosh the whole project if he was like, I don't like it.
Versus Shinichi Watanabe walking away from Cowboy Bebop, right? Or, you know, who knows what's going on with the Avatar bits, but we know that the original team were like, yeah, we're not involved on this anymore. Creative differences. There's always that moment. And here's the thing too, right? I can understand what is the Steelman argument here. Okay, well, not everybody is going to go back and check out the original War of the Worlds. Not everybody.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. But
who gives a shit what you're going to go check out or not?
So there's that feeling of like, oh, there's gold in this source material that needs to be brought to everyone. And if it's done really well, then there can be a whole new market for this thing and a whole new audience, and it can be relevant again. Let's see Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson brings that from this legendary book series into a legendary film series.
Boy, that could have been terrible. Oh my God, that could have been the worst.
It could have been the Hobbit series, you know? But like after an extremely insanely high effort and budget and everything over the years, one of these massive projects, it's like, oh yeah, okay, they brought Lord of the Rings into the forefront and now it's this massive thing. So if you're the license holder, IP holder, franchise holder, then you want that to happen, right? You want to turn your, you know, $1 million franchise into a $1 billion franchise. So that's always going to be the driving factor here. But aside from that, I guess just as people who are like fans of the things or consumers of it in a way, that miss rate is so high, and
it's real fucking high.
And again, the weird disrespect that comes from like, oh, this thing doesn't matter until it becomes that, fucking sucks, and I wish that would go away. So
by the way, I want to raise up my hand here as something really clear. Somebody pointed out Fallout, which I actually really like the Fallout TV show, and we all know Paige loves the Fallout TV show. Stuff like the Fallout TV show is not an adaptation. It's a TV show that takes place in an existing fiction.
Right.
When I say stop adapting things, I mean shit like fucking Game of Thrones. Is everyone happy how that fucking turned out? Is everyone having a great fucking time with how Game of Thrones turned out?
And ultimately, here's the thing. It works out sometimes, and sometimes it works out great. How
many Berserk fucking shows do we need?
Woof. Arf, barf, you know, bark. However, then there's that one episode of Last of Us that fucking won every award because it's incredible.
Yeah.
Right? That can happen sometimes too. It's not that.
And see, Last of Us is such a great example because, like, hey, these games that want to be movies became movies. They did it. The stepping stone to what you actually wanted to do in the first place is complete. Congrats.
And, you know, if Game of Thrones didn't fucking get shit up by D&D, and if they didn't get distracted by the, you know, riding high on their own supply, getting famous, and your headphone plugged out, there we go, you're back. If they didn't get all like, oh, we got
these darn plugs. Oh,
we got Disney waiting to give us a bunch of Star Wars trilogies to work on. We barely care about Game of Thrones anymore, and we have what the fuck was it called, Confederate to work on. Then you know, perhaps if they gave it their fullest and they had the same process going through the end of that series, it would have been good to the end. Adaptations don't always suck, certainly, and there are great examples of when it can go well.
It just has like the worst fail rate of anything I've ever seen in my life. It's like if I went to a restaurant that made me food with the quality like hit rate that adapting a comic or a TV show to a different medium or whatever, I would never fucking eat there again. I would get sick and fucking die.
I think there's just times and places where you gotta just re-examine that. You don't have to always fucking turn it into some like there's the attempt to reintroduce, to remarket is always shitty. We know as well. I remember there was a large comic book girl 19 a while ago had a video where she was describing how like there's extremely minimal the way new movies get made and stuff is like I think like 3 on 30 major blockbusters are new, and then the remaining 27 are all previous proven properties and all that, right? The risks are high, etc. Fuck me, I had a point I was about to make and then I lost it.
You find that point. I need to go for a second. I gotta help.
Oh shit. Excuse me. BRB. Okay. I remembered my point.
Yeah.
Okay, so your take was stop making adaptations, and
just stop.
And mine was adaptations aren't necessary, and I think you're absolutely cooking there, because I'm thinking of the times where in a best case scenario, anytime I talk to somebody about The Departed, we go, damn, that was a really good movie. He killed it. What a good job. And then the end of the conversation is, hey, you know what else is good? Infernal Affairs. That's a good movie. You should go watch it. Go watch it. Yeah. There's a whole trilogy. They're fucking solid, right? And then in the worst case scenario, you have the shit that pisses me the fuck off, which is Spike Lee presents Old Boy, where it's the same medium. It's the exact same thing that already exists, and the only reason it's being adapted is because audiences are being weird about subtitles and too many Korean people, I guess. It's just fucking, like it's a completely unnecessary.
I can do you one better.
Re-release.
I can do you one better as worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is going to the movie and watching your movie and going, oh my God, that's terrible. Why do people even like The Last Airbender? Oh my God.
I guess there's that. This is
bad that it makes you look down on the original in derision.
This is the thing that everyone's been telling me has been so great all this time. Jeez.
Oh shit, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah. It's just fucking annoying, man. Like,
I saw Death Note. Oh, that movie's god awful.
I mean, I'm still more annoyed by my example because it's 1-to-1. It's not even a different medium.
Yeah.
You just made it for no reason. I like whatever. Time has moved on, and we've hit a point where things like Parasite and shit have blown up, and the audiences are much more like Netflix oriented. So people aren't afraid of subtitles, and they're not diving for cover when words pop up at the bottom of the screen. But that fucking Spike Lee shit is just the stupidest, man. Anyway, so yeah, I understand, and I have I completely have had that thought, adjacent, and I'm right there.
I always wondered what the deal with Americans and subtitles is. Genuinely. I was like, why are subtitles in foreign films so like wildly hated?
Reading
like, what the fuck is up with that?
Reading a lot and not looking at the thing it's that
50% of Americans can't read.
That's what I'm saying. Reading. Yes.
Just can't.
Reading's hard. It's distracting. It's taking away from the talking and the easier things going on.
No. Can't. I don't mean distracting. I don't mean is not good. I mean like can't.
I've heard this before, and it's like it's a struggle to take the time to quickly go through that. You can, but you don't have the time to by the time the next line pops up.
That's not what I'm telling you. This is a dogs can't talk situation. I'm talking functional illiteracy is like 45%.
I don't believe you.
Okay, yeah.
In 2023, approximately 28% of U.S. adults scored at the lowest levels of literacy. 54% of adults have literacy skills below a 6th grade level.
So 54% are functionally illiterate.
Below 6th grade. It's a level, right? It's not the same
dog
as
jumped
cat.
over the fence.
But yes. It's bad. It's not a good stat.
How am I supposed to read those old boy subtitles? They don't even have a cute dog in there. Thank you, Spike Lee. Thank you for allowing me to watch Old Boy.
Anyway,